Predicting customer churn in retail. In this lesson, you will learn how to predict which customers are at risk of churning in a retail business. Customer churn means the loss of customers who stop buying from your store. Predicting churn helps businesses retain valuable buyers and boost long-term revenue. You will analyze real retail transaction data to spot signs of customer inactivity. The business insight is identifying patterns that suggest when a customer is likely to leave, so teams can take action. Running the cell now. We import pandas for handling retail datasets. We import numpy to perform numerical operations. We import matplotlib for creating visualizations. We import seaborn for better-looking retail charts. We import Python warnings to suppress warning messages. We filter out warnings so our notebook is easier to read. Running the cell now. Can you think of other Python libraries you have used for data analysis? What retail datasets contain? Most retail datasets include transactions, orders, products, and customer data. Transactions represent what, when, and how much customers buy. Sales metrics like quantity, price, and revenue help measure customer activity. It is easy to make mistakes by confusing quantities with revenue, or by ignoring missing data. Always check dataset columns before starting analysis. Running the cell now. Have you ever worked with datasets missing important columns? First, we get the real retail transaction data so we can start analyzing churn patterns. We set the URL to the real online retail transactions dataset. We load the dataset with pandas, focusing on data from 2010 to 2011. We convert invoice dates to date time for time-based analysis. We print the shape to see how many transactions we have. We preview the first 3 transactions so we can see what the data looks like. Running the cell now. This output shows the dataset contains over 540,000 rows and 8 columns, including key retail transaction details like invoice, stock code, quantity, price, and customer ID. Notice the quantity column tracks the number of items purchased, while price reflects the unit price, highlighting the need to distinguish these metrics before analysis. The date-time conversion of invoice date prepares us to analyze customer activity over time, which is crucial for meaningful sales insights. Practice: what could be a sign that a customer stopped shopping? Now we look at the number of unique customers to understand the size of our customer base. We count the number of unique customer IDs in our dataset. We print the total number of distinct retail customers. Running the cell now. This output shows that there are 4,372 unique customers in the dataset, highlighting the scale of the customer base involved in the transactions. By checking the count of distinct customer IDs, the code helps ensure we understand the dataset's breadth before diving deeper, reinforcing the lesson point to always review key columns first. This step is crucial for analyzing customer behavior and accurately interpreting sales metrics later on. Think about why tracking unique customers per period is important for churn detection. It is important to know how much revenue each transaction generates so we can find high-value customers. We create a new column called revenue by multiplying quantity and price. We display the invoice, customer, and revenue for the first 3 transactions. Running the cell now. Here, we see the total revenue for each transaction item, calculated by multiplying quantity by price. Notice the revenue column reflects the actual monetary value per row, linking purchases to specific invoices and customers. This highlights the importance of creating clear sales metrics before any deeper analysis. What could be a red flag in customer revenue over time? Now we aggregate revenue at the customer level to spot big spenders who matter most for churn analysis. We group transactions by customer ID and sum the revenue for each customer. We rename the revenue sum as total revenue. We preview the first 3 customers and their total revenue. Running the cell now. Here we see the total revenue generated by each customer, with the code grouping transactions by a customer ID and summing the revenue values. Notice that some customers, like ID 12346, have zero revenue, which could indicate missing transactions or inactive customers. This step is crucial to accurately measure customer activity and avoid confusing quantity sold with revenue earned. Tip: high spenders are often the most valuable group to monitor for churn. A drop in purchase frequency could be an early signal of churn. We group by customer ID and count unique invoices as purchase events. We rename the column to num purchases for clarity. We show the first 3 customers and their numbers of purchases. Running the cell now. This output shows the number of unique purchases each customer made, with the num purchases column counting distinct invoices per customer ID. Notice how this helps us understand customer buying frequency, an essential step to avoid mixing up transaction counts with other sales metrics like quantity or revenue. Always verifying these key columns ensures accurate insights when analyzing retail datasets. Try: why might frequent but low-value shoppers be important too? Customers who have not purchased recently may be churning or inactive. We group sales data by customer ID and get each customer's most recent purchase date. We rename this last purchase column for clarity. We print the first 3 customers' last purchase dates. Running the cell now. This output shows each customer's most recent purchase date, with the customer IDs linked to their last purchase date. Notice how the code uses grouping and aggregation to summarize transactional data, highlighting the importance of examining key columns like dates to understand customer activity over time. This step is crucial to avoid pitfalls like mixing up transaction details and ensures accurate analysis of purchase behavior. Practice: compare last purchase dates to today's date to estimate who is inactive. We will use RFM, recency, frequency, monetary analysis, a proven method to measure customer activity and spot churn risks. We define a reference date that is 1 day after the latest invoice date. We group by customer ID, calculating recency as days since last purchase, frequency as number of unique purchases, and monetary as total revenue. We reset and rename columns for clarity. We display the first 3 customers with their RFM values. Running the cell now. This output shows the RFM features, recency, frequency, and monetary value, calculated per customer, summarizing their purchase behavior. Notice how recency is the number of days since the last purchase, frequency counts unique invoices, and monetary sums total revenue, capturing different dimensions of customer activity from the transactions dataset. These metrics are key to understanding customer value and help avoid confusion between quantities and revenue when analyzing retail data. Think: why would customers with high recency scores be more likely to churn? Visualizing RFM features helps us identify groups of valuable or at-risk customers at a glance. We create a larger figure for clarity. We plot recency versus monetary, total value, with bubble size showing purchase frequency. We label the x-axis as recency. We label the y-axis as monetary value. We set the plot title to show customer RFM segments. We display the chart. Running the cell now. This scatter plot shows customer segments based on recency, monetary value, and frequency, helping us understand buying behavior visually. Notice how points with larger sizes represent customers who purchase more often, while their position on the axis indicates how recently and how much they spent. This visualization ties back to the lesson by using sales metrics to segment customers, emphasizing the importance of accurate data columns for meaningful analysis. Practice: which region of this plot would contain the most at-risk customers? Let us define a business rule: if a customer has not purchased in 90 days, they are at risk of churn. We set the inactivity threshold to 90 days. We flag customers whose recency is greater than 90 as likely to churn. We print out the customer ID, recency, and churn status for the first 5 customers. Running the cell now. Here, the code creates a churn flag indicating customers inactive for more than 90 days by checking the recency column, which measures days since last purchase. Notice how customers with high recency values like 326 and 310 receive a churn flag of 1, signaling inactivity, while recent buyers have a flag of 0. This step highlights the importance of using transaction timing to identify at-risk customers before deeper sales analysis. Prompt: how could a business act differently for at-risk customers versus active ones? If there are missing values in key columns, that can lead to wrong analysis. We count the number of transactions with missing revenue. We print how many records need fixing before analysis. Running the cell now. This output shows there are 0 transactions with missing revenue values, indicating the revenue column is complete in this dataset. This reassures us that revenue data is reliable for analysis, highlighting the importance of checking for missing values before drawing conclusions in retail datasets. Tip: always check for NaN or missing values early in your analysis. Sometimes, retail transaction logs contain purchases with 0 or negative quantity, especially for returns. We count how many transactions have invalid quantities. We print this count to be alert to data quality issues. We remove these from the dataset for accurate churn analysis. Running the cell now. This output shows that there are 10,624 transactions with 0 or negative quantities, indicating invalid data points. Noticing and removing these ensures accurate sales metrics like quantity and revenue, which is crucial for reliable retail analysis. This step highlights the importance of checking dataset columns and handling errors before proceeding. Practice: how would negative quantities affect your total revenue numbers? A common mistake is grouping by product code when our goal is customer churn. We group by stock code and count unique invoices per product. We display the first 3 rows, realizing it provides product frequency, not customer activity. This would not help with churn detection, so watch your grouping columns carefully. Running the cell now. This output shows the number of unique invoices per product, stock code, which highlights product popularity but not customer behavior. Notice that grouping by product, rather than by customer, misses the point of tracking individual customer activity or churn. The lesson here is to carefully select the right columns for grouping to avoid misleading conclusions in retail analysis. Tip: always double-check your Group B keys. Best practices in retail analytics for churn. Use RFM analysis to profile customers by activity and value. Segment users by frequency and recent behavior, not just by total spend. Regularly visualize trends to catch changes early. Always handle missing and outlier values before making business recommendations. Successful retail analytics combines smart grouping with business logic on what makes a customer at risk. Running the cell now. Try: can you name other patterns used to prevent retail churn? Pattern example: segmenting customers by churn risk. Segment your customers based on RFM score values. High recency, low frequency, and low monetary can often signal churn. Business teams use these segments to target promotions or win-back campaigns. Running the cell now. Practice: how would you reach out differently to at-risk versus loyal customers? Focusing on customers with low frequency and high recency helps identify those likely to churn. We filter customers who have not shopped for more than 90 days and have 2 or fewer purchases. We print out how many at-risk customers we detected. We display the first 5 at-risk records, showing their RFM values. Running the cell now. This output identifies 1,092 customers who are likely at high risk of churn, based on having made purchases over 90 days ago and having low purchase frequency, 2 or less. Notice how their recency values are quite high, and frequency is low, which aligns with the churn risk pattern we want to target. This segment helps business teams focus win-back campaigns on customers who haven't engaged recently and rarely shop. Tip: at-risk customers might respond best to special retention offers. We create a real-world churn report for the business. We prepare the relevant columns for customers who are likely to churn. We add a column suggesting an action, Send a re-engagement offer. We save this to a CSV file that a business decision maker could use. We print confirmation the churn report is ready. Running the cell now. This output confirms that a targeted churn prediction report has been successfully created and saved, containing key columns like customer ID, recency, frequency, and monetary. The intent here is to segment at-risk customers, flagging them with a recommended action to send re-engagement offers, an essential step for helping business teams proactively reduce churn. Now opening the generated churn prediction report for review. How else could you automate churn detection and customer outreach in retail? Congratulations, you have completed the hands-on churn prediction lesson. For further learning, search YouTube for the Retail Churn Analytics with Python. Try adapting these techniques to your own store data for real performance improvements. Running the cell now. Share your churn findings with your team or class and keep practicing.